We know he wasn't really running the country.
Knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? You know what? If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto-penned.
It's the art of deflection coming from former President Obama, as well as his friends who are still in Congress today, and Senator Warner and Congressman Jim Himes, really all basically saying that exact same statement, which doesn't actually address the issue that was revealed in great detail in the over 100 documents that we released last week, in the documents that we will be releasing later this week, that point to the undeniable fact that you laid out in your introduction to this segment, is that the intelligence community had one assessment, that Russia did not have the intent or capability to try to impact the outcome of the U.S. election leading up to election.
Barack Obama's polished image quickly fell apart when Joe Rogan and Tulsi Gabbard entered the scene. They didn't hold back, calling out the double standards, the confusion, and the flaws hiding behind his smooth persona. Their words were sharp, honest, and unapologetic. No filter, no coding. It felt like a public unmasking of a once untouchable figure. If truth were a punch, Obama just got hit with one he never expected.
No. He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Flushes.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
it's
that.
It's 100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? They would never do that. They would have water.
Wall Street clapped the moment Obama took office, and by the time he walked out, they were counting profits in tax-free zones. The same man who promised to clean up corruption ended up speaking gently to billionaires, handing out rules so weak that even lobbyists felt bold. Joe Rogan didn't need any fancy tools to see the truth. One look at the money-driven mess of those years. And he asked the big question, how did a community organizer become a top pick for deep-pocketed donors? In just 8 years.
A lot of what they campaigned on, they don't practice at all. Great example is the Obama administration. The Hope and Change website had to be changed because there was a bunch of stuff in there about whistleblowers.
No, I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks. My preference would have been for a lawful, orderly examination of these laws.
Protecting whistleblowers, which they didn't do at all. There was one of the worst administrations for whistleblowers.
I first joined the Democratic Party over 20 years ago. I was 21 years old, and what I saw back then was a party that still stood for free speech. That was a big open tent party that welcomed people with different ideas, different backgrounds, different religions, that stood up for civil liberties, that fought for everyday Americans. It was a party of the little guy. Fast forward to where we are today, that party is completely unrecognizable.
Tulsi Gabbard followed close behind, calmly slicing through the Hope and Change story with the precision of someone who's seen too much spin. This was the same Peace Prize-winning president who dropped drones like confetti and treated whistleblowers like background noise, yet somehow still talked about honesty. Honesty. From a leader whose team made reporters disappear the moment real questions showed up. People say truth needs light, but Obama acted more like a man hiding from it, truth and transparency. That was never part of his game.
I left the Democratic Party because it is led by an elitist cabal of woke warmongers. They are driven by an insatiable greed for power, and they are willing to do whatever they deem is necessary, even the destruction of our freedom, to get what they want and to stay in power. This is the challenge, and
he made presidential photo shoots feel like scenes from a Hollywood movie, strolling through the White House like it was a sneaker commercial. But behind that image, he was approving drone strikes so brutal they made video games look tame. Entire wedding parties and funeral gatherings ended up on America's deadliest guest list. One click, one explosion, and then a vague apology buried in a press release that read like a broken fortune cookie or a magic 8-ball having a meltdown.
Tulsi Gabbard explained what most Americans are thinking.
vast majority of the Democrat elite in Washington, in politics and the media, still can't figure out why President Trump has the support that he has, and that no matter what they're throwing at him, it continues to grow, which just is a reflection of how completely out of touch they are with the people. They continue, as they did in 2016, they continue to see the American people as stupid.
Joe Rogan nearly lost it as he ripped the mask off the whole show. Here was a man who seemed more tuned into his Spotify playlist than the chaos he left behind. Dust, drones, and backroom deals all over the Middle East. Obama talked about peace, then launched missiles. Promised hope, then gave the world hashtags, said he'd end the wars, but kept them running like an unwanted free trial, no warning. No stop button. And everyone's still paying the price.
People age the hardest. I think Obama was probably like a very idealistic young man
Oh, Lord, what's going on now? Who's hollering? I can't even see it.
who really wanted to change the world. And that dude aged more than anybody.
I mean, I'm getting old, so I can't hear that well. I can't see that good.
Who aged the least? Trump. Trump just
This is something that
he just brushed that shit off his shoulder.
Chelsea stuck to the facts while watching the so-called peace president dive into one global disaster after another like it was a weekend hobby. Libya collapsed into chaos, with human trafficking making a horrifying comeback. In Syria, his support, 4 rebel groups backfired. U.S. weapons ended up in the hands of fighters who thought democracy was just the name of a DJ they'd already blown up. And Iraq. He claimed the war was over, then left just enough troops for the sequel, this time starring ISIS, and healthcare. Joe Rogan nearly exploded over that mess. Obama's health plan was so confusing. People were using GoFundMe for paper cuts. Still, he walked away like he'd cured death itself. Tulsi watched as his record was treated like holy scripture, while everyday people were getting lost in a maze of red tape just to see a doctor. It was marketed like the latest iPhone, flashy, overhyped, missing the basics, and quick to fall apart the moment you needed it.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though...
But nothing exposed the double standard like the way he dealt with race. Obama had the spotlight and the power to push real change, but all he offered were polished speeches and trending hashtags. When Ferguson erupted, he gave a speech better suited for a podcast. When Baltimore burned, he dropped a playlist like justice was something you could shuffle through on spot. No major reforms, no serious action, just feel-good words that vanished once the headlines faded. Joe Rogan could barely keep it together, listing all the times Obama chose image over impact. And when it came to whistleblowers, he went full government, villain, Snowden, labeled a traitor, Chelsea Manning, punished worse than actual criminals. Tulsi looked stunned as Obama waged war on transparency. The man who once promised sunlight buried the truth deeper than ever, marking it classified, and selling it like a plot twist from a premium drama series.
They gave that speech when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, this. And then they go, it kind of just went away.
it was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war.
Even Joe Rogan couldn't hide his disbelief because nothing screams progressive icon like quoting Maya Angelou 1 minute and greenlighting mass surveillance the next. Under Obama, spying didn't just grow, it blew up. Every call, every blurry selfie, every dumb joke about the TF probably filed away somewhere in Utah under national threat. And while the cameras captured soaring speeches, the real economy dragged behind Wall Street's golden parade. Obama's fix. Bailouts for billionaires and closed-door deals. The unity he promised came with a catch. Agree 100% or get labeled. Disagree just a little, and suddenly you were a Russian bot, a secret bigot, or just someone with connection issues. So much for bridging the divide. He just dug the trench deeper and called it progress.
Said he was a jackass.
The young lady seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award. What's he doing up there? He's a jack.
It's like, oh really? Well, you.
It was about the Taylor Swift thing.
Now, all this stuff.
That guy's a jack. It wasn't even that harsh of an incident. And he said it privately, and I think somebody heard it. I don't think he said it to be public.
I'm assuming all this stuff. Where's the pool? Come on.
The media's obsession with Obama. It looked more like a teenage crush giddy, blind, and splashed across magazine covers. Every late-night appearance and glowing article turned him from president into a pop star. Real problems pushed aside, while his tan suit got more coverage than global issues. But Tulsi wasn't fooled. She saw through the perfect lighting, the dramatic pauses, and the smooth delivery. This wasn't leadership, it was performance. The Obama years felt more like a worldwide TED Talk, plenty of polish, not much substance, and a soundtrack ready for award season. And if you questioned any of it, you were called ungrateful, a conspiracy nut, or just too unsophisticated to get the so-called nuance code for don't look behind the curtain. But Tulsi didn't play along. She'd seen enough of this polished spin to write a guidebook like how bombing 7 countries still earned him a Peace Prize. Or how bailing out Wall Street was somehow marketed as a win for everyday people.
That are happening in our country are happening because we have people in power who care more about themselves and their power than they do about the people, this country, our constitution, our democracy. They are setting this incredibly dangerous precedent that now, much like many banana republics in the world, whoever's in power has the ability to politicize and weaponize that power to go after their political opponent. Take away whatever people think about Trump or whatever.
Right.
The consequences and implications of what is actually happening and what so many of the Democrat elite are justifying in the name of protecting democracy is actually
The smooth-talking Nobel Prize winner with more Wall Street contacts than a phone book still has a loyal fan base mesmerized by slow speeches and polished lines. But Joe Rogan peeled that image off like duct tape on skin. Take away the charm, and what remains? A man who made doing nothing look elegant. Even after leaving office, he couldn't step out of the spotlight. No quiet goodbye. No reflection, just Obama showing up again like a political ghost with a podcast. Offering vague advice while dodging the chaos he helped create. Tulsi just raised an eyebrow each time he reappeared after another Democratic flop, preaching unity from a beachfront mansion. He speaks like a Bond villain on break, no real plan, just smooth words and perfect timing.
That you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold. Tulsi Gabbard. Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they... Look, he's guilty. It's not a question, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there, he's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think.
Joe Rogan nearly choked on his drink, laughing. Because nothing says man of the people like buying a $12 million mansion while preaching about climate change and income inequality. It's like watching a firefighter walk into a burning house with a gas can and give a TED Talk about fire safety. He's not fixing the problem. He's just narrating the chaos with style. And every time the media rolls out old clips to remind us of the good old days, it feels more like a highlight reel of denial. The image, carefully built with slogans, staged photos, and message controls so tight it could impress a North Korean media team. Real change. It never showed up. It sent a press statement, then caught a flight to Martha's Vineyard with Obama. And yet, somehow, he keeps showing up, same smooth grin, same raised chin, like the damage left behind was just a footnote in an otherwise flawless legacy.
Trump.
Donald Trump is here tonight.
And one of the lines he said to Trump, he said, "I'm one thing that you'll never be," which is the president of the United States.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
And you could see Trump in his head going, "All right, okay, I'm going to run now." That one moment where Obama was talking shit to him might be the reason why Trump was like, I'll show you.
Behind all the applause and glowing headlines, the truth gets harder to hide. Obama's legacy isn't built on hope, it's built on how icily that hope was turned into a brand. And just when you think his story is over, the spotlight flips back on another speech, another book deal, maybe even another drone flying over a place he's never stepped foot in. While he basks in the sound of his own praise, the rest of the country is left breathing in the dust of broken promises. What really changed? The system got better at pretending smiling while doing absolutely nothing. Now, with another season of his Netflix self-praise rolling out, Americans are still waiting for the hope he wrapped so nicely but never delivered, because behind that polished voice was a politician so scripted, even puppets looked spontaneous. And Tulsi and Rogan, they cut every last string and